Thomas Reed never expected to make history while fishing in the asteroid belt of Proxima Centauri. As the solar winds rustled through his ship's energy sails, he cast his quantum line into the void, hoping to catch one of the rare energy beings that drew deep space fishers to this remote corner of the galaxy. The Star Weaver, his modest but reliable vessel, drifted silently among the asteroids. Its specialized hull was designed to withstand the harsh radiation of deep space while remaining virtually invisible to the ethereal creatures he hunted. Thomas had spent his life savings on the ship's cloaking technology, and so far, it had been worth every credit. He felt a familiar tingle in his neural implant. The quantum line had detected something. But this signature was different from anything he'd encountered before. Instead of the usual ethereal patterns of energy beings, this reading was solid, ancient, and definitely artificial. Thomas initiated a careful retrieval sequence, his weathered hands dancing across the holographic controls. As the quantum line retracted, it pulled something massive from behind a nearby asteroid. The object emerged slowly, a crystalline pod, easily twice his height, covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as he watched. "Well, this is definitely not a Centaurian whisperfish," he muttered, engaging the ship's tractor beam to guide the pod into his cargo hold. The ship's AI ran preliminary scans, confirming that the pod was at least 10,000 years old and contained a life form in suspended animation. Thomas approached the pod cautiously, his scanner revealing that the occupant was humanoid but definitely not human. The crystal surface was warm to the touch, and as his fingers traced one of the shifting symbols, the entire pod began to hum with energy. Before he could step back, a brilliant light filled the cargo hold. The crystal dissolved like morning frost, revealing a tall figure with silver-white skin and hair that seemed to capture and reflect starlight. Her eyes opened, revealing irises that swirled with galaxies. "I am Nyara Valthresh," she announced in perfect universal standard, her voice carrying both authority and exhaustion. "Last Empress of the 7th Spiral Dominion." She stumbled forward, and Thomas caught her before she could fall. "Thomas Reed," he responded automatically, supporting her weight. "Deep space fisher from Earth. Currently in the Proxima Centauri system, if that helps." Nyara's eyes widened. "Earth?" The prophecy spoke true then. The world of dreamers would awaken me. She straightened, regaining her composure. "Tell me, Thomas Reed, what year is it by your calendar?" When Thomas told her, she closed her eyes in pain. 3,000 years. My empire, my people, all gone. Her legs buckled again, but this time from emotion rather than physical weakness. "Hey, you don't know that for sure," Thomas said, helping her to the ship's small medical bay. "A lot can survive in 3,000 years. Hell, my species went from horse-drawn carriages to interstellar travel in less than 5 centuries. As he activated the medical scanner, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. The AI's voice was urgent, multiple vessels detected. Energy signatures match Spiral Dominion technology. They are powering weapons. Nyara's expression hardened. The Eternal Guard. They still exist, still following their last orders, to ensure I never awaken. She turned to Thomas, her galaxy eyes intense. You have a choice, Thomas Reed. Leave me here for them, save yourself. Or help me reclaim what was stolen, and perhaps change the fate of 1,000 worlds. Thomas glanced at the tactical display showing 5 ships closing in, then back at the impossible woman from the depths of space. He'd come looking for Centaurian whisperfish and instead found an Empress out of time. His mother always said he had more curiosity than sense. Star Weaver, plot an escape vector, he commanded, strapping himself into the pilot's seat. Your Majesty, you might want to hold on to something. This ship's built for stealth, not combat, but she's got a few tricks up her sleeve. As they accelerated away from the approaching vessels, Thomas couldn't help grinning. He'd wanted adventure, and now he was flying through space with an alien Empress, pursued by ancient guardians. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain, this would be a much better story than another fishing tale. The Starweaver disappeared into the depths of space, leaving behind confused pursuers and carrying within it the seeds of a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. For Thomas Reed, it was just the beginning of an adventure that would test not only his courage and wit but also his understanding of what it truly meant to be human in a universe far stranger and more wonderful than he had ever imagined. The Starweaver limped through the quantum slipstream, its engines straining after their narrow escape from the Eternal Guard. Thomas worked furiously at the repair console, rerouting power through backup systems while keeping one eye on the long-range scanners. Behind him, Nyara sat in deep meditation, her silver skin emanating a subtle glow that filled the cabin with ethereal light. "You know," Thomas said, wiping grease from his hands, "when those guardians hit us with that temporal weapon, I thought we were done for." "Then what exactly did you do?" Nyara opened her eyes, the galaxies in them spinning slowly. "I remembered. The powers of the seventh spiral Empress weren't just ceremonial. We were chosen for our ability to manipulate the quantum fabric of reality itself." She rose gracefully, approaching the ship's viewport. "But 3,000 years in stasis has left those abilities unstable." As if to demonstrate her point, a wave of energy rippled from her fingers, causing the ship's artificial gravity to fluctuate momentarily. Tools and spare parts floated upward before crashing back down. "Sorry," she winced. "That happens sometimes." Thomas picked up a fallen wrench, grinning. "No need to apologize. Though maybe we should work on controlling those powers before you accidentally turn my ship inside out." Their levity was interrupted by a proximity alert. A massive trading station hung in space before them, Haven's Cross, one of the few neutral ports in this sector of space. Its sprawling arms housed everything from legitimate merchants to smugglers, all operating under the station's strict policy of neutrality. "We need supplies," Thomas said, checking their depleted inventory. "And information. Someone here might know if any of your people survived." Nyara pulled up the hood of the ship suit Thomas had given her, concealing her distinctive features. "The Eternal Guard will have agents here. They've had 3 millennia to embed themselves throughout the galaxy." "Then we'll be careful," Thomas replied, initiating docking procedures. "I've been smuggling rare fish through stations like this for years. Trust me." As they made their way through Haven's Cross, Thomas couldn't help but notice how Nyara drew attention despite her disguise. She moved with an innate grace that no amount of common clothing could hide. Her presence seemed to affect the very air around her, causing lights to flicker and electronic devices to glitch as they passed. They found a quiet corner in a dimly lit trading post, where a grizzled information broker named Wren waited in shadows. The broker's cybernetic eyes whirred as they focused on the pair. "Interesting times," Wren mused, their synthetic voice barely above a whisper. "The Eternal Guard offering a fortune for information about a mysterious woman and her human companion. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" Thomas kept his expression neutral. "Just looking for information about the Seventh Spiral Dominion. Historical research." Wren's laugh was like static. "History? Oh, there's plenty of that. But more interesting is the present. Something stirring in the old spiral territories. Ancient stations coming back online. Dormant technologies awakening. And whispers." The broker leaned forward. "Whispers of others like your friend here, hiding in the shadows between stars." Nyara's hand trembled slightly, causing the table's surface to ripple like water. Wren's eyes widened at the display. "So it's true," they breathed. "The Empress lives." Before anyone could react, chaos erupted in the trading post. A group of heavily armed figures in ancient-looking armor materialized at every exit. Their leader's voice boomed through the chamber, "By the eternal decree, the false Empress must not rise again." What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. As the Eternal Guard raised their weapons, Nyara's control finally shattered. A wave of pure quantum energy exploded from her, freezing time itself around them. Every person, every dust mote hung suspended in space, except for Thomas and Nyara. "I can't hold this long," she gasped, silver blood trailing from her nose. "Thomas, I need your help. My powers are too unstable, but there's something different about your quantum signature. Something that resonates with my abilities." Thomas didn't hesitate. He reached out, taking her trembling hands in his. The moment they touched, energy surged between them. Thomas felt his consciousness expand, seeing reality as Nyara did, a vast tapestry of quantum possibilities. Together, they wove a new path through spacetime, physically pulling the Star Weaver through the station's walls and into open space. As Nyara's hold on time released, they vanished in a flash of quantum fire, leaving their pursuers frozen in confusion. Hours later, safely hidden in the dust clouds of a nearby nebula, Thomas watched Nyara sleep. The display of power had exhausted her, but before succumbing to rest, she had explained what she discovered. "The prophecy wasn't just about finding me," she had said. "It was about finding you, a human with natural quantum resonance. Together, we might be able to do what I never could alone, heal the wounds in spacetime left by the civil war that destroyed my people. And maybe, just maybe, find the hidden enclaves of my species that Ren spoke of." Thomas gazed out at the swirling colors of the nebula, his mind still trying to process everything that had happened. He was no longer just a deep space fisher helping a displaced Empress. He was part of something far larger, a destiny that would reshape the very fabric of the universe. As if sensing his thoughts, the Star Weaver's engines hummed a gentle lullaby, carrying its unlikely crew deeper into the unknown, where ancient powers and new possibilities awaited. The abandoned mining facility on Helio 7 looked dead from orbit, its massive excavation towers standing like ancient skeletons against the purple sky. But Thomas's enhanced sensors detected faint energy signatures pulsing deep beneath the surface, signatures that matched the quantum frequency of Nyara's powers. "This was one of our sanctuary worlds," Nyara explained, her galaxy eyes scanning the familiar yet changed landscape as they descended. "A place where we developed our quantum abilities away from prying eyes. If any of my people survived, they might have sought refuge here." The Star Weaver landed silently in a vast cavern, its cloaking systems active despite the seemingly abandoned location. Thomas had learned the hard way never to take appearances at face value. As they stepped out onto the dusty ground, their boots crunching on crystalline formations, something felt different about the air itself. "The quantum field is strong here," Nyara whispered, her silver skin shimming with reactive energy. "It feels maintained. Someone has been tending to the ancient resonance chambers." Before Thomas could respond, they were surrounded. Figures melted out of the very walls, their bodies shifting between solid and translucent states. Unlike Nyara's silver appearance, these beings displayed a rainbow of metallic hues, copper, gold, platinum, and colors Thomas had no names for. A tall figure with bronze skin stepped forward, his form solidifying. "Welcome home, Empress Nyara. We've been waiting 3,000 years for your return." He turned to Thomas with an appraising look. "And welcome to you, Quantum Touch. The prophecies spoke of your coming as well." "Quantum Touch?" Thomas asked, raising an eyebrow at Nyara. "It's what my people call humans with natural quantum resonance," she explained. "Though none have ever demonstrated abilities as strong as yours." The bronze-skinned being introduced himself as Vexthor, leader of the Crystal Accord, a secret society of spiral survivors who had spent millennia preparing for this moment. He led them deeper into the facility, through chambers where young spiral children practiced their quantum abilities and scientists worked with technology that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "We are the last free remnants of the Seventh Spiral Dominion," Vexthor explained as they entered a vast circular chamber filled with holographic displays. "While the Eternal Guard believes they hunt the last Empress, we have been building a resistance, preserving our knowledge, and waiting for the prophecy to unfold. The holograms showed military installations across the galaxy, each marked with the ancient symbol of the Eternal Guard. They've built an empire of their own, Vexthor continued, using corrupted versions of our quantum technology. Their leaders have extended their lives through forbidden techniques, becoming something neither organic nor machine. But why? Thomas asked. Why maintain a vendetta for 3,000 years? Nyara's expression darkened. Because they fear what we might become. The spiral dominion was approaching a breakthrough in quantum evolution, the ability to exist simultaneously across multiple dimensions. The Guard believed this would make us too powerful, too far removed from base reality. Their solution was to trap us in single-point existence, bound by linear time. Which is why your stasis pod was so important, Thomas realized. It preserved your quantum state from before their intervention. Yes, Nyara smiled, touching his hand. The contact sent shivers of quantum energy through both of them. And why finding you was crucial. Your natural quantum resonance helped stabilize and amplify our abilities. Together, we might be able to free my people from their dimensional constraints. Vexthor led them to a chamber containing a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with familiar energy. This is the heart of spirals, he explained. The last intact quantum core from our golden age. With your combined powers, you could use it to broadcast a quantum frequency that would awaken the dormant abilities in all our people. But as they studied the ancient device, alarms blared throughout the facility. The Eternal Guard had found them. Hundreds of ships descended from orbit, their weapons charged with quantum-disrupting energy. They must have tracked our quantum signatures, Nyara said, her voice urgent. We need more time to understand the heart's mechanisms. Thomas looked at the tactical displays, his mind racing. Then let's give them something else to track. He turned to Vexthor. Your people can phase through solid matter, right? How many ships can you spare? A slow smile spread across the bronze being's face as he understood Thomas's plan. Enough to lead them on quite a chase. What followed was a masterpiece of tactical deception. While the main guard fleet pursued phantom quantum signatures generated by the Resistance's phase-shifting ships, Thomas and Nyara worked frantically with the heart of spirals. Their powers intertwined, human quantum resonance harmonizing with spiral technology in ways that hadn't been possible before. But as they made progress, Thomas noticed something troubling in the heart's crystalline structure, microscopic fractures that shouldn't have been there. Someone had tampered with it, and recently. As he opened his mouth to warn Nyara, a new energy signature appeared on their sensors. Something massive was emerging from hyperspace, something that made the quantum field itself scream in protest. The true battle for the future of the spiral dominion was about to begin, and Thomas had a sinking feeling that they had just walked into a trap 3,000 years in the making. The massive ship that emerged from hyperspace dwarfed everything around it, its hull composed of shifting quantum crystals that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. As it approached Helio 7, reality itself bent around it, creating ripples in the fabric of space-time. Impossible, Nyara breathed, her galaxy eyes wide with recognition. That's the quantum throne, my flagship from the final battle. It was destroyed. I watched it burn. Not destroyed, Vexthor's voice had changed, taking on a hollow, ancient quality that made Thomas's skin crawl. Transformed. Just as we were transformed. Thomas spun around to find Vexthor's bronze skin crackling with dark energy. The other resistance members began to shift as well, their metallic hues turning black as void. The trap had been sprung, but it was far more elaborate than Thomas had feared. You were never the resistance, he said, positioning himself between them and Nyara. You're the guard. You've been the guard all along. Vexthor laughed, the sound like breaking crystal. We are what necessity made us. 3,000 years watching, waiting, ensuring the Empress never returned to power. But then you appeared, Thomas Reed, with your impossible quantum resonance. You changed everything. The truth hit Nyara like a physical blow. The prophecy, you wrote it. Created the legend of the quantum touch to draw out any humans with the ability. You've been searching for someone like Thomas all this time. Of course, Vexthor's form was barely humanoid now, more like a tear in reality given shape. The Eternal Guard didn't fear your evolution, Empress. We feared what came after. We saw it in the quantum streams, a future where the spiral dominion transcended reality itself, abandoning those they deemed lesser beings to cosmic irrelevance. The chamber filled with crackling energy as more guard members revealed their true forms. Thomas felt Nyara's hand slip into his, their quantum energies automatically synchronizing. But something was different this time. He could sense the heart of spirals responding to them in ways it hadn't before. You don't understand what you've done, Nyara said, her voice carrying the weight of revelation. The quantum fractures in your bodies, the corruption in your cores, you're not preserving reality, you're unraveling it. Your extended existence is creating paradoxes that can't be sustained. Thomas noticed it too now, the way space itself seemed to be fraying around the transformed guard members. Their quest for immortality had turned them into wounds in the universe, slowly bleeding reality dry. The massive ship above them fired, not with conventional weapons but with beams of pure temporal energy. The facility's shields held, but reality outside began to crack like glass. Through the fissures, Thomas caught glimpses of other timelines, other possibilities, including one that made his blood run cold. Nyara, he said urgently, I can see what really happened 3,000 years ago. The Guard didn't just fear evolution, they feared choice. Your people were about to discover that reality itself is conscious, that the quantum realm isn't just energy but a form of universal mind. You were going to give everyone the power to choose their own reality. Vexthor moved toward them, his form shifting between dimensions. Choice leads to chaos. Structure must be maintained. The universe must follow its prescribed path. But Thomas wasn't listening anymore. His attention was fixed on the heart of spirals, seeing it with new understanding. The fractures weren't damage, they were a message, left by someone who had seen this moment coming. Your Majesty, he said, squeezing Nyara's hand, I don't think it was an accident that you were preserved in that pod, or that I found you. The heart isn't just a quantum core, it's a key. And I think I know exactly what it unlocks. Nyara met his gaze, the galaxies in her eyes spinning faster as she grasped his meaning. Around them, reality continued to crack as the Guard's temporal weapons hammered the facility. But in that moment of connection between human and Empress, something else was taking shape, a possibility that even 3,000 years of planning hadn't accounted for. No. Vexthor's voice shattered windows as he realized what they intended. He lunged forward, his corrupted quantum form reaching for them with tendrils of void-black energy. But he was too late. Thomas and Nyara had already begun the sequence, their combined powers flowing into the heart of spirals. The ancient device pulsed once, twice, and then reality itself held its breath, waiting for a choice that would reshape everything. The true purpose of the quantum touch was about to be revealed, and with it, the real reason the Eternal Guard had spent 3 millennia trying to prevent this very moment. As dimensions collided and timelines twisted around them, Thomas Reed, a simple deep space fisher who had only wanted to catch some exotic fish, found himself at the crossroads of existence itself, holding hands with an Empress out of time, about to make a decision that would echo across all possible realities. The heart of spirals pulsed with blinding light as reality twisted around them. Thomas and Nyara stood at its center, their combined quantum energies creating patterns that hadn't existed in the universe for 3,000 years. Through the fractured walls of space-time, infinite possibilities played out like reflections in a broken mirror. Even if you activate the heart, you can't control it, Vexthor snarled, his void-black form spreading like cracks through reality itself. The quantum consciousness will overwhelm your minds, scatter you across every possible timeline. But Thomas smiled, finally understanding. We don't want to control it. That was your mistake, thinking that power meant control. Sometimes power means letting go. Nyara's galaxy eyes met his, and in them he saw the truth that the Eternal Guard had spent millennia trying to suppress. Reality wasn't meant to be controlled, but experienced. The quantum realm wasn't a force to be harnessed, but a vast consciousness waiting to be joined. The massive quantum throne above them fired again, its temporal weapons tearing holes in spacetime. But instead of destroying them, the attacks only hastened what was already beginning. Each breach in reality allowed more of the quantum consciousness to seep through, responding to the resonance between Thomas and Nyara. The prophecy wasn't about finding a human who could amplify spiral powers, Nyara realized, her voice carrying across dimensions. It was about finding someone who could show us a different way. Humans don't try to control quantum reality, they dream it, shape it through imagination and possibility. The heart of spirals responded to their understanding, its crystalline structure transforming. The fractures that Thomas had noticed weren't damage but a blueprint, showing how human consciousness and spiral quantum abilities could work in harmony rather than opposition. Vexthor and his followers began to disintegrate, their corrupted forms unable to maintain cohesion as pure quantum energy flooded the chamber. You'll doom us all, he raged. Without structure, without control, chaos will consume everything. Not chaos, Thomas corrected, holding Nyara's hand tighter as power surged through them. Choice. The same choice you tried to deny everyone else. The heart reached critical resonance, and in that moment, Thomas and Nyara made their choice together. Instead of trying to direct the quantum energy, they opened themselves to it completely, becoming a bridge between consciousness and reality. What followed was beyond description in any single language or dimension. The quantum consciousness that the spiral dominion had glimpsed 3,000 years ago finally made contact, not as a force to be controlled but as a partner in creation. Through their connection, Thomas and Nyara offered every being in range of the heart's power a choice: remain in singular reality or expand their consciousness to embrace the quantum nature of existence. Not as masters or controllers, but as participants in an infinite dance of possibility. The Eternal Guard's corrupted forms dissolved, their long vigil finally ending. But instead of destruction, they found transformation. Their quantum essence, freed from the paradoxes of their extended existence, merged back into the natural flow of reality. The quantum throne above them shimmered and changed, its weapons transforming into beacons that broadcast the heart's offer across the galaxy. Wherever there were spiral survivors, whatever side they had chosen in the ancient war, they would have the chance to choose again. As the quantum resonance spread, Thomas and Nyara witnessed the birth of something entirely new. Humans and spirals working together, their different approaches to reality creating possibilities that neither species could have achieved alone. Some chose to remain in traditional spacetime, while others explored the quantum realm, and many learned to exist in both states, creating bridges between the infinite and the intimate. The Starweaver still floated in its dock, a humble fishing vessel that had carried them to this moment. Thomas looked at it fondly, remembering how this all started with a simple cast into the void. What happens now? He asked Nyara, their bodies simultaneously solid and quantum as they adjusted to their new state of being. She smiled, and in her eyes he saw not just galaxies but entire universes of possibility. Now we explore. There are still spiral enclaves to find, humans with quantum resonance to teach, and an entirely new way of existing to discover. She squeezed his hand. And I hear there are some remarkable energy beings in the Proxima Centauri asteroid belt that no one has managed to catch yet. Thomas laughed, the sound rippling across multiple dimensions. First rule of fishing, Your Majesty, sometimes the best catches are the ones you never expected. As they boarded the Starweaver together, their quantum forms settling into comfortable solidity, the heart of spirals continued its work. Across the galaxy, beings of all kinds were waking up to new possibilities, making their own choices about how to exist in a reality that was far more vast and wonderful than anyone had imagined. The ship's engines hummed to life, powered now by both traditional and quantum energy. As they set course for the stars, Thomas and Nyara carried with them the knowledge that their greatest adventure wasn't saving the universe, it was helping it grow into something new. Behind them, the ancient mining facility on Helio 7 pulsed with renewed purpose, no longer a tomb of forgotten possibilities but a beacon of new horizons. And somewhere in the quantum realm, the consciousness of reality itself observed its children with something that might have been pride, as they took their first steps into an existence where the only limits were the ones they chose to believe in.